Now let's look at the creation of tables, and these will be active tables which have the ability to perform an operation when we click on one of the rows. So there are two styles of table available. So this one is based on the data tables library. So if you just do a search data tables as one word on Google, you'll find the library. So there's a well-documented, well-maintained library for providing tables on any system that uses JavaScript and CSS. So this is quite a good object with many options available to it. And then there's also my own kind of homemade tables thing. So I created this a while ago when I was first had the need to draw tables, and now I mainly do use data tables. But it's I do actually come back to this style now and then, because there's a bit more control, or I know how to do a certain types of control in here that I don't as yet know how to do that. I'm sure it's possible to do everything in data tables as well. But anyway, let's look at the creation of these tables. So this is all under the DataSets section. So let's just go there, closing layout and going into DataSets. And remember, in our DataSets section, we had created this system where we have a list of companies, and then we have different employees in each of the companies. And so we want to look at just the users. So we'll take the flat list of all users, and we are going to look at drawing tables for those. So we know there are about 20 users, and here if, you can see there's a pager down here. So underneath your data table, that does have a pager. So if you click next, so you can navigate all the pages of data that you have. There's also a very useful search option here. So that will search dynamically. So if we type LOG, for instance, you can see it's brought up the two rows that have LOG in the name. So if you type any sequence here, it will look in all the columns, in all the rows for those characters, and so that's quite neat. So your data tables can be created in this way. And number one, you do have to have the data set itself. And so if you look in the previous videos, we did talk about the creation of a memory object, which is the data set itself. So we take the data set, so that's of type blue mat, and that will have a method called, well, actually I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's the editor. I don't want the actual editor. Here's what we are looking for. Right, so we create the data table by adding that into our view space. So we have to reference the container where we want to draw this table. And so we've created an accordion here. So if you look here, we created an accordion with 3 entries: editors, tables, and raw data. So you can see here editors, tables, and raw data. So we want to go into the tables section. So we go here, we pick out the tables section, and then we add, and then the usual thing. So this is a straight addition using the user interface elements that you are familiar with. So using the add method, so you specify an ID slug, and then you use this type AUE table. So if you want to show a table, it's AUE table, and then you have to specify a data source. So you specify the attribute data, and then you specify the blue matrix here. So as we said earlier, the blue matrix is here in settings.data.users. So you specify the blue matrix, and then that's enough to go ahead and draw a table. So you see the second attribute here called row click event, and as the name implies, when the user clicks on any row, then we want to take action here. So in this case, it's simply going to log out to the console the values there behind that row. So to see that, let's open up the console. By the way, you can open the console on Firefox with Control-Shift-K, and then on Chrome and some other browsers, Control-Shift-J instead. So anyway, we've got here our object, our active data tables object, and you can see if we click on here, then it's bringing up for us the row there, and it's giving us the row in a kind of a JSON object format. So that's because, of course, behind each column here we have a name. So each column has a certain name, and it's using the column name as an attribute in the object. So if we click on any object, any row, then it's creating an object out of that row. So that's what we can do, and of course then you can take whatever actions you like. One of the things I often do is I'll have a little form alongside, and then when a user clicks on a row, then it will show the values on that form, and so you can edit what's in a table by integrating the form in that table. Okay, so that's the approach to take if you want to use data tables. So it's of this type, right? You use AUE table. So row click event is how you do that. If you want to use my kind of homemade one here, you can use the .tabulate. So this one operates directly on the blue mat object. So you just reference your blue mat object and you say .tabulate. So that's a method in the object. So .tabulate, and then you specify the ID slug, and you specify the parent. So you specify the port in which you want it to be drawn. So in contrast to this one where we are adding onto a parent, here we are going the data set first, and then we have to specify the parent into which we want to draw this object. And then so those are two arguments so far, the ID slug and then the parent reference. And then there is another, this third option is where you can specify a function that will do some processing on the table. So if you want to change what's in the table, you can do that here, but let's ignore that for now. The fourth argument is where you specify your row click events. So open brackets and then row click event in there, and you can see it's outputting to the screen here. So this is the tabulate function, and you can see it does the same thing. So if I click here, then it's showing me, it's outputting down here the object that's behind this row. So those are two methods that you can use for drawing tables, and that's obviously quite useful in terms of navigating sets of data. The paginate, right, your pagination option and your search options, those are all powerful ways of navigating through large sets of data.